sports.
Good evening. This is the CBS Evening News. Dan Rather reporting. The dust is barely settled, but the dust-up is growing tonight over the massive new tax overhaul bill. It will affect everyone. The question is, exactly how? The compromise worked out by House and Senate negotiators is still subject to change, still subject to final approval by the House and Senate. But already there are complaints about fairness, and some of the loudest complaints are coming from people with the most to lose. CBS News correspondent Eric Ingberg begins our coverage of what this new bill would do and why some people don't like it.
The debate was already shifting to the tax bill's long-term effect on business and the economy.
It hurts my people. But more broadly than that, I think that it hurts people's jobs. I don't understand how we can pile $120 billion on business in 5 years without affecting people's jobs.
And many of those jobs, analysts agreed, will be lost in already hard-pressed heavy industries. At the same time, newer service and high-tech companies will benefit.
We had expected very rapid economic growth over the next year and a half. This will slow it down somewhat, but we don't see a recession or anything really bad occurring either.
The bill takes after real estate tax shelters so aggressively the industry says few people will be investing, commercial property will lose value, and apartment construction will fall so much rents will be forced upward.
Rents in certain markets across the country will increase about 22%.
Unless tenants start pushing for rent controls, which is what the industry fears will happen. The conferees also turned their guns on the defense industry, simply ordering that contractors be hit up for $3.5 billion in taxes, details to come later. Danforth of Missouri, home of McDonnell Douglas and other defense biggies, howled.
It hurts my constituents. It hurts the largest employer in my state.
But calls for a fair shake for arms merchants did not take hold among weary, sometimes testy lawmakers.
And I would like to...
Are you shifting from contractors that are in the defense field their share of the burden as opposed to other people?
And the contractors lost. Restaurants lost the full deduction clients can claim on business meals. It goes to 80%.
It's going to have a great impact on us, especially being a downtown restaurant in a metropolitan area where we do a great deal of business lunch and business dinner type things.
The bill has enough winners that organizing an effective opposition will be tough. And businesses that lost are already planning a drive to restore tax breaks next year and start the war again. Eric Ingberg, CBS News, Washington.
Now, beyond the complicated question of what the tax overhaul bill will do is the confusion over when. When do the changes take effect? Assuming Congress passes this bill, many of the provisions will take effect January 1, 1987, next year. Changes such as the end of state and local sales tax deductions and the key changes in deductible individual retirement accounts, IRAs. But that is not the case with many other tax changes. Some of the key ones will be gradual. The current 14 tax brackets will become 5 tax brackets in 1987. The transition down to just 2 tax brackets won't come until 1988. Gradual increases in personal exemptions for you and your family won't be completed until 1989. The transition for standard deductions will be completed in 88. The phasing out of the current deduction on interest you pay for most loans except mortgages wouldn't be completed until after 1990. After some years, the whole tax system would be one of fewer deductions, lower tax rates. Well, that doesn't necessarily mean lower taxes paid, certainly not always for everyone. For the short run, 1987 definitely could bring increased taxes for millions of middle and high-income Americans. One example, tax rates still will be high next year, but most special deductions already will be gone. CBS News correspondent Jerry Bowen looks now at how this tax overhaul that is supposed to make the system more simple and fairer has so many people trying to figure out what it all means.
Will the profits that are made on the sale of a single-family residence be fully taxed?
In Los Angeles, the talk show listeners were calling to find out what it all means, while in Washington, the big accounting houses were racing to compile the answers for their clients. The book on who's caught and who's not.
Where we're racing is the clock.
What we want to do is get this information out in the hands of our clients while there's still plenty of time for them to do something about it before the end of the year.
The landmark tax bill exempts reindeer meat sales from federal taxes. Good news for Eskimos. And eliminates the write-off for those posh skyboxes at America's stadiums. Bad news for the corporations. On something that affects millions more Americans, the popular IRA retirement accounts, for example, the pending bill is not so clear on first reading. But as income goes up, the IRA deduction goes down. And overall, there's this rule of thumb.
The winners are going to be the people in the lower income tax brackets. They are going to get the bulk of the benefits from the new tax law.
In Hollywood, at one of the florist shops to the stars, designer Barry Lloyd doesn't feel like a winner. His income is more than $50,000.
I can't pinpoint an amount, but it's going to hurt a lot.
So, in Chicago and across the country, the phone lines to the accountants are starting to warm up.
If you had any insight as to what kind of action I should be taking right now.
But even with the highly touted simplified tax law, there are few easy answers.
It's really hard to tell how he's going to come out until someone studies the detail of this bill.
Jerry Bowen, CBS News, Los Angeles.
In the first day of trading since House and Senate negotiators agreed on the new tax package, the Dow Jones Industrial Average gained almost 14 points. Still coming up on tonight's CBS Evening News, we'll see how the nation's third hurricane of the season sent thousands fleeing before it dwindled into a tropical storm. And Charles Kuralt will show you how one American works with nature to produce his vision of the elusive thing we call art.
This is dedicated to the ones we love.
You know what your problem is, Eric?
Alice?
You're 43 years old, and you still eat cold pizza and donuts for breakfast.
So that's it.
All that sugar, all those preservatives.
Hold it. Should I try Nutri-Grain?
Delicious Nutri-Grain. Only the whole grain, with no preservatives and no sugar added.
Goodbye.
Oh, wait. Does this mean you love me?
Yes.
Kellogg's Nutri-Grain cereal.
Dedicated to the ones we love.
We pulled the wool over Mrs. Johnson's eyes.
What's this?
Feel.
This pink side's much softer, fresher.
Brand W cleans. Delicare cleans softer, fresher.
I'm switching to Delicare.
Clean, softer, fresher care. New Delicare.
Does your multivitamin measure up to Avail? Avail is the only multivitamin that's calcium intensive. So you get your vitamins, minerals, and all the extra calcium you need in one tablet. For vitamins and calcium together, nothing measures up to Avail.
The latest upbeat assessment on chances for a Reagan-Gorbachev summit this year came from Soviet leader Mikhail Gorbachev himself today. But Gorbachev's optimism came as part of his latest high-publicity speech on Soviet television. Gorbachev extended the Soviet moratorium on nuclear testing until the end of 1986, and he again challenged the U.S. to join in.
The Soviet Union is convinced that the agreement to curtail nuclear testing can be reached quickly and can even be signed this year at a Soviet-American summit.
Gorbachev's latest nuclear moratorium talk drew the same U.S. response this time as last time. The moratorium, President Reagan's aide said, costs the Soviets very little, would hurt Western defenses if the U.S. joined in, and is mainly what they called a Soviet propaganda ploy. Israel and the Soviet Union held their first formal talks in 19 years today. Scheduled to last 2 days, they lasted all of 90 minutes. A Soviet spokesman says the talks in Helsinki ended abruptly when Israel insisted on discussing Jewish immigration from the Soviet Union. He claimed this issue was not on the agenda. Israel says the two sides agreed to stay in diplomatic contact. The sixth straight day of violent opposition protest in Pakistan took as many as 11 lives today. 4 were policemen. As we hear from Rick Fredrickson in Karachi, the government of President Zia seems to be working hard not to overreact to the protests.
The street battles persisted in Karachi today as protesters challenged police in rock-throwing duels. It is the worst week of violence in Pakistan since 1983 and was ignited by a crackdown on dissent, with thousands of people arrested, including opposition leader Benazir Bhutto. This morning's disturbance erupted after a funeral for 2 men, who witnesses said were shot yesterday by riot police trying to disperse a crowd. The trouble started building last April when Bhutto returned home from political exile to lead the open confrontation against President Zia, who had deposed Bhutto's father as prime minister and later had him hanged. Before her return, Bhutto, educated at Radcliffe and Oxford, told 60 Minutes correspondent Ed Bradley, even though she might be arrested, she must carry on the struggle.
I shall always try to do whatever it is in my power to do, always.
While her supporters say Bhutto is in solitary confinement, followers of her Pakistan People's Party were out sealing off a major highway in the countryside. But throughout Pakistan today, organizers' hopes for massive demonstrations did not materialize. With Bhutto and many other opposition leaders in jail, the government seems to be in firm control. President Zia is on a pilgrimage to Saudi Arabia and has no plans to return until late this week. Rick Fredrickson, CBS News, Karachi.
After more than 2 months of stonewalling, South Africa's white minority government was forced today to identify the thousands of people it is detaining without trial. CBS News correspondent Steve Croft reports from Johannesburg.
When the South African Parliament met for the first time today since the state of emergency was declared, the Liberal opposition was determined to use its parliamentary powers to pry out information. Within hours, the government complied with the law and for the first time made public a list of detainees it was holding. It was 171 pages long and contained 8,501 names, creating headaches for newspaper editors.
We've got a bit of a problem down here because they're not in alphabetical order.
It took 4 people 4 hours just to set the type, and the names will take up 4 pages of tomorrow's editions.
Well, I think it will certainly help some families, because now they will at least have confirmation that their wives or husbands or sons and daughters have been detained.
But the list does not say where the detainees are being held, which means relatives will find it difficult to deliver food or clothing or arrange a visit. Lawyers here think the list is also incomplete and almost certainly does not include the names of those being held in black homelands within South Africa's borders. The list is also not final. There's no sign the state of emergency is going to end anytime soon, and according to anti-apartheid activists here, people are still being picked up. Steve Croft, CBS News, Johannesburg.
U.S. authorities are investigating an automobile accident that killed an American secretary who worked for the U.S. Drug Enforcement Agency in Mexico. What worries U.S. officials is that Susan Hofler worked in the same Guadalajara office as Victor Cortez. Cortez is the U.S. Drug Enforcement agent seized and allegedly beaten and tortured last week by Mexican state police.
Burger King presents a few words about new chicken tenders. Chicken tenders are real white meat breast fillets, not formed bits and pieces of chicken. And now, a few words about our competition. So if you want real fillets of all white meat chicken, here's a little hint.
Ain't nothing like the real thing, baby.
New chicken tenders from Burger King.
Taster's Choice gets its superior richness, aroma, and flavor from a blend of the very same coffee beans found in gourmet stores. Regular or naturally decaffeinated, the choice for taste is Taster's Choice.
Playtex has a sale that's really got your style. You can save it on a rave, it'll make you smile.
Special savings on selected styles in the Playtex Super Sale.
Catch the Playtex sale, and you can have the look you always wanted to see.
Hurricane Charlie dwindled down to Tropical Storm Charlie today as it meandered over the Atlantic Ocean. But Charlie was a killer, linked to 5 deaths as it forced an estimated 100,000 people to flee their homes. CBS News correspondent Richard Roth has the storm watch.
Storm warnings or watches were in effect for more than 300 miles along the East Coast this morning as winds and rain from Hurricane Charlie swept up the Atlantic edge of North Carolina and Virginia and across the shores of Maryland. The winds had gone over 100 miles an hour in places, and the storm cut down trees and power lines in Norfolk, killing a woman there. It brought down a small plane near Baltimore, and 3 people died. It pushed people out of vacation homes and into shelters overnight and passed through the Maryland resort of Ocean City, whipping the shorefront.
I realized how dangerous to be out in this. I mean, things are flying all around you, and I said, God, that must be crazy to be out here.
The danger, though, was quickly passing, Charlie becoming more a tourist attraction than a threat by late morning, turning out to sea, veering away from Atlantic City, New Jersey.
Well, the city is prepared. The city has prepared. The city will be prepared for
Hurricane Charlie.
Visitors, though, had been gambling the hurricane wouldn't hit, and that bet paid off. By late today, Charlie's legacy in New England was just a tropical storm. A sturdy umbrella would have been protection enough. Richard Roth, CBS News, New York.
It is a classic confrontation, the individual versus the institution. In this case, the institution is the Roman Catholic Church. And as CBS News correspondent Frank Courier reports, the individual is an 11-year-old girl.
For days, it has been the talk of Toledo, the Catholic Church against a 6th grade girl on the question of abortion.
She has the right to do what she wants to do, and she's just stick to her guns.
The idea of the Catholic school is to teach morals, and one of those morals is against abortion.
11-year-old Sarah Beth Eason has been barred by the church from returning to her Catholic school this fall because she has joined in demonstrations for the right to abortion.
I just think that it's a woman's choice. If they want to have the baby, if they don't want to have the baby, that's their choice.
Sarah Beth's mother is assistant director of a Toledo abortion clinic, the target last spring of a firebombing, and the object of church scorn, passed on, says the mother, to Sarah Beth.
The sins of the mother are the sins of the daughter, in a sense, I hear them saying.
The church refusal to readmit Sarah Beth to school came in a letter from Pastor James Miller, saying when a fundamental teaching of a private school is opposed, a parent should withdraw a child whose thinking has become different. In his letter, Father Miller said Sarah Beth could return to school if she writes a letter to the principal, recanting her support for abortion.
They've walked away from us, in essence. We are still there. We're waiting. We're hoping for reconciliation. We'd like them back.
But it's not likely, for with Sarah Beth's refusal to retract her views, the conflict goes unresolved.
I just don't think it's right for them to impose their opinion on an 11-year-old child.
And the community stands divided. Frank Courier, CBS News, Toledo.
The Vatican today stripped American priest Charles Curran of his status as an official theologian. Curran is a professor at Catholic University in Washington, D.C. The Vatican, in a decision approved by Pope John Paul, said Curran's views on abortion, contraception, divorce, and other issues are contrary to church teachings. In a moment, the white supremacy neo-Nazi drive to recruit new members in this country inside our prisons.
Wine coolers are a third less calories than ordinary wine coolers.
Hey, Dewey!
Don't you feel great?
No.
You do me right.
There are precision jobs in there that could cause tension. That can lead to aches and pains. Ask Charles Lubers.
It's sore right in through these areas here. If I don't get a strong medication, it will not take this ache away in my neck.
What he took was extra-strength Tylenol caplets. Last year, hospitals dispensed Tylenol 10 times more than the next 4 brands combined.
The aches are gone, and it just makes me feel great. No tension at all. It's gone.
If Tylenol worked for Charles Lubers, and it's the pain reliever hospitals use most, shouldn't you use Tylenol, too?
Federal authorities said last year they believed that all members of the neo-Nazi terrorist group called the Order were dead or in prison. Now there is disturbing evidence the white supremacists are turning prisons into recruiting stations. And CBS News correspondent Peter Van Sant has been investigating how the shadow of organized hate is stretching from the prison yard to the schoolyard.
Hail victory! White supremacist, Nazi-oriented extremist groups are supposed to be on the decline. Recent arrests and the imprisonment of 27 neo-Nazis have extremist leaders claiming that their movement is in trouble.
This lack of members has hurt us financially.
Forward! March!
But while they talk of hard times, a new push is underway to rebuild the ranks of the white supremacist groups, stocking them with what observers believe will be a new generation of violence-prone disciples. Using computerized mailing lists and their own convicted followers on the inside, the radical right has launched a major recruiting effort within the nation's prisons, offering hundreds of hardened criminals a new life in the hate movement.
I believe the prison system is a field
waiting to be cultivated.
Bruce Carroll Pierce was the leader of the Order, a violent Nazi-oriented group that officials believe is responsible for the murder of Jewish talk show host Alan Berg in Denver and for several armored car robberies. Pierce is serving a 100-year prison sentence.
My position here is more as a missionary work and educator spreading the word. And so our movement cannot help but to grow, and it will.
Prisons are considered ideal recruiting grounds because of racial tensions behind bars. According to a Justice Department study, 16 states have prisons with active white supremacist gangs.
They can harness the hatred that is often developed in prisons, and it's rather frightening to imagine what the possibilities are of hooking up with hardcore criminals after they get out of prison.
Robert Miles has been called the spiritual leader of the hate movement. He regularly corresponds with 1,800 prison inmates in 43 states.
We're the only ones who say, hey, yeah, we know you're of European extraction. We know that you're concerned with your position, and we're interested in you. Why wouldn't they turn to us?
Miles sends out a monthly newsletter called Beyond the Bars, the Stars, which is frequently filled with anti-Semitic and racist preachings. He uses a computer to keep his mailing list, which he says continues to grow.
It's a chance for them to get a truly new start.
That new start includes moving to the Pacific Northwest, which has been proclaimed an Aryan homeland. While white supremacist leaders claim that their violent tactics are behind them, they still warn of using violence on a massive scale, as this exclusive tape obtained by CBS News of the recent Aryan Congress in Idaho reveals.
The white youth of this nation shall utilize every method and option available to them to neutralize and quite possibly engage in the wholesale extermination of all subhuman non-Aryan peoples from the face of the North American continent.
The speaker is Greg Withrow, another recruiter who's seeking young followers.
Massive distributions of literature directly onto school campuses, anywhere from 8 years old on up.
Withrow's group recently targeted high schools in Billings, Montana, placing these racist flyers in student lockers.
Free again, in the land that we choose.
Extremist leaders won't say how many new members they're attracting, but they claim the numbers are significant.
Don't listen to our words. Wait, watch, and see what happens in the days ahead.
There is concern those days will grow more violent as the white supremacist movement attracts ex-cons and continues its struggle for revolution. Peter Van Sant, CBS News, Atlanta.
I can't believe it. Billy D. Williams eats Kellogg's cornflakes.
The Billy D. Williams.
The Billy D. Williams.
Good old cornflakes. The surprise is the people who eat them.
How about those Kellogg's cornflakes now?
This house is just lovely, but to the Stevens, it's so much more. They planned the future next to that fireplace, celebrated holidays full of laughter in this dining room, and whispered countless bedtime stories right here. This is where their heart is. This is their home. That's why only one paint was ever good enough. Benjamin Moore. They wouldn't settle for anything less. Would you?
When something means so much, see your Benjamin Moore dealer.
You won't believe
how great it holds.
your lower dentures.
It's extra hold for lowers.
You won't believe how great it holds your lower dentures.
It's extra hold, and it's from Fast Teeth. You won't believe how great it holds your lowers.
Want a good reason why my antacid is Tums? I'll give you 3. 1, Tums is effective. It neutralizes 1/3 more stomach acid than the other leading brand. And that's what I take an antacid for. 2, sodium. I don't want any. And Tums is sodium-free. 3, Tums is rich in calcium. And to me, an extra source of calcium is extra good news.
Now let us take you to a kind of art show. You don't have to know much about art. Believe me, you'll like it. But be warned, Charles Carroll's report on the road in Eudora, Kansas is only the beginning of the story.
Stan Hurd looks like a farmer. I mean, he is driving a tractor with a 2-bottom plow, and the plow is plowing a double furrow out here in a Kansas clover field. And when he stops to talk, Stan Hurd talks like a farmer.
I come out here and I see, you know, it's planting season, and is there enough moisture, and how much time do you have, and how long does it take a crop to grow, and what is it going to turn into? How tall is it going to be? and then all of those considerations of color.
When he starts going on about the colors of crops, it occurs to you that this is pretty funny talk coming from a farmer.
Obviously, sunflowers will be bright yellow. We've got the clover, which would be the light green. And then soybeans will be green, and then they'll turn into a rusty, kind of a rust tan color in the fall.
Sunflowers, clover, and soybeans all planted in the same field? What's going on here? Well, you can't tell what's going on in this field from down here. You have to go up there. From up here, you can see that Stan Hurd plows not for agriculture, but for art. He is creating a 300-foot vase holding 150-foot sunflowers, a still life faintly reminiscent of Van Gogh with a 20-acre field for a canvas. And it's not even his field. It's Junior Nice's field. You must have thought, watching him work, that he was a little off sometimes. I mean,
yeah. Well, a lot of times I didn't know. I mean, he was going one way a few feet, and then he'd turn around and go the other way.
That's not the way you drive a tractor.
No. Normally you go across the field and turn around and come back, but not him.
Junior Nice is a tolerant but bemused patron of the arts. Stan Hurd is a passionate artist, dreaming of fall when his crops come in and his painting fills out, the vase green and the sunflowers golden.
It's probably grown into kind of an obsession to do this right and to make it really blossom and grow into something beautiful.
Yes, around the 1st of October, when those sunflowers pop, the crop art of Stan Hurd should be something to see. Of course, nobody will see it except passing crop dusters and airline passengers. Oh, and you. We'll come back in about 6 weeks and show it to you. Charles Kuralt, CBS News, on the road in Eudora, Kansas.
Crop art. Believe me, only in America. That's the CBS Evening News for this Monday. Dan Rather reporting from New York. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you here again tomorrow night.
Can you see okay?
Yeah. Peanuts! Get your fresh roasted peanuts!
2. Want some peanuts?
Yeah.
Remember fresh roasted peanuts? One whiff, and you knew how good they taste.
They're still warm.
If you think that fresh taste is a thing of the past, you should try Planters' new improved dry roasted peanuts. They're so fresh, so flavorful. They taste like they're fresh from the roaster.
Fresh roasted peanuts!
Planters, the peanuts with fresh roasted taste.
Ooh, summer streets can't beat my feet. Ain't nothing gonna slow me down. I've got my Dr. Scholl's in.
Dr. Scholl's double comfort air pillow insoles. A white layer cushions, a blue absorbs shock. In one thin insole that keeps feet cool and dry in double cushiony comfort.
Ooh, summer streets can't beat my feet. Ain't nothing gonna slow me down.
Dr. Scholl's double comfort air pillow insoles for a cool summer lift.
You've just had your dentures professionally cleaned.
How can I keep them looking this way?
With professional strength Effordent. Effordent removes stains, kills germs, cleans away plaque, even in between. For a professional looking clean, get Effordent.
Can effective antacid medicine taste good?
Sure, when it's Remigel.
Great tasting Remigel, soft and chewy and the same effective relief as 2 teaspoons of the leading liquid.
What a job it does on my heartburn.
Remigel, liquid relief in every great tasting tablet.
We'll take a look at the return of TV nostalgia with Dobie Gillis stars Dwayne Hickman and Bob Denver tomorrow on the CBS Morning News.
This is CBS.
Coming up next on Eyewitness News, a Florida sheriff says a man with Tennessee connections may be connected to this shipment of more than 1,000 pounds of cocaine. High insurance rates have